if I get it, I've never had anybody actually.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
I think you have to push it. I mean, because I've had that same thought when I first got my phone.
Oh, you mean you have to push it for them
I think
to
you have to really
respond?
push it for them to respond.
Okay.
It's like
no.
it has the on-off button on top, right? And then the SOS and the.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. All I know is I pushed something where I know that it
Yeah, I think you have to push.
canceled it or something.
Yeah, there's a cancel there too.
Old people and phones, it's not a good sign.
No. Computer. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's not say old.
Hey, I'm right there with you, honey.
So sit comfortably, and you know, sit on blankets if you want. You can sit up and as high as you need for your hips. But if you need to stretch your legs out too, instead of being cross-legged, just let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. Feel your shoulders release down. And just watch your breath as it comes in and goes out through your nose. Feeling that gentle, easy expansion of the belly as you breathe in. And you know, if you're comfortable to come into 3-part breaths, you can inhale into your belly, then your ribs, then all the way up into your chest. Release your arms on out beside you. If you're on the floor, fingertips lightly touch the floor there. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale the hands straight out from the shoulders and rotate your palms up. Let your elbows be a little soft. Just feel that sense of releasing in the top of the shoulders. And then bend your elbows and bring your fingertips to touch the tops of your shoulders there. And just make easy little circles in one direction. It doesn't matter which direction you go, because we'll switch in a minute. And it doesn't matter how big you make the circles. So, you know, your shoulders may be enough just to do little tiny circles, or maybe it feels good to get bigger and bigger with those circles. But just be mindful. Just feel like you're waking your shoulders up a little bit here. And listen to the little birds sing as they get fed. And that's not on the music, so no, that's real birds in the wall. So let your elbows go the other way. And again, you can stay small or you can get bigger and bigger. Totally up to you again, how your shoulders feel. Just pay attention, not forcing anything. And the next time your elbows kind of come down towards the ground, go ahead and unfold your arms on down beside you. And from here, shake your hands out a little bit, circle your wrists up, hands around a little bit to feel your wrists. Open and close your hands a little bit too. Good. And now let's come into crossing our right ankle above our left knee. So if you're on the floor, you can stretch your left leg long, and you can go lower. Remember, you can do ankle in front of ankle. If going up above your knee is too much, don't do it. You can come a little forward if you're able to, or even just think about coming a little forward. And if you feel good to kind of massage your toes a little bit, or let your foot press into your hands, you can, or even interlacing your fingers a little between your toes if you like that, trying to separate your toes a little bit. Just take your time, let yourself feel that great release in the outer right hip there. Let your jaw release and your face relax here. Good, one more breath. And then we're gonna come back up, keep crossed there, take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, twist to your right, bring yourself around. Doesn't matter whether your left hand comes to your knee or your shin. And that right arm just either dangles down the back of your chair, or you can just lightly touch the ground there. And let your chin feel pretty parallel to the floor, so you feel length in the back of your neck and throat. So one more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come back around through center and keep on going into the other direction. So let yourself come all the way around to where you're comfortable again, wherever your arms like to go. And again, feel that sense of length upward through the top of your head, finding that twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around. Float your arms out. Keep your legs the way they are for a second and bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a bit of a hug there. Let your elbows come down a little bit. And you can also bring your chin down if you want. And you can stay right here, you know, letting yourself just stay hugging. If you like to release towards backs of your hands towards each other a little bit, or all the way to your right hand being on your left palm, that's up to you. So just coming into an easy release for your shoulders there, wherever you're able to be. One more breath. And we're going to release. Arms are going to undo. We're going to cross our legs as well, and we're going to go the other side. So again, take your time. Again, you can lower your foot down. You don't have to be up above the knee. Again, if you kind of think about letting yourself come onto your foot a little bit, either interlacing your fingers between your toes, or if it feels better just to press your foot into your hand a little bit. So just be mindful as you come on forward and ease your way in here to releasing into that left hip. And just be with your breath. The birds are definitely getting bigger. They're louder, but they're also needing to be fed more often. So can you imagine if you were their parents? And then come on up, take a nice inhale at the top, and on the exhale we'll twist to our left. So bring yourself on around, and again, just be mindful of where you let your arms, your hands go, just so it feels good. Your shoulders feel nice and released and open. Feel your breath coming in and going out. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around through center and go all the way around into the other direction. Again, keep flexing the foot a little bit. Let yourself feel that length upward, and whatever part of your right foot is touching the floor, press down into it, whether it's your heel if you're on the floor, or maybe it's the bottom of your foot if you're in your chair. So one more inhale. And let your exhale bring you back around, and we'll float our arms up and bring our right arm on top of our left. And again, give ourselves a hug here. You can let your chin come down. You can even move your head around. You know, if that feels good to you, to let your head roll around a little bit, or turn your head to look one side. Let it feel really good and releasing there between the shoulder blades on your back. And you can decide whether you want to bring your gaze forward and let your backs of your hands head towards each other at all or not, or put your left hand in your right palm, left fingers in your right palm, or stay hugging, finding that release there. Good, one more breath. And we'll release, unwind our arms, and we'll unfold our legs as well, and stretch your legs on out in front of you, whether you're in your chair or on the floor. Flex and point your feet a little bit so you can feel the backs of the legs and the fronts of the legs. Let it feel really good. Good, and then bring your feet down if you're in your chair, but keep your legs long if you're on the floor. Bring your hands just to lightly touch beside you if you're on the floor. And let's come into inhaling the right arm all the way up, and then come on over into a side stretch. So your hand can be on the floor supporting you, breathing into that side. Let yourself feel the ribs expanding on your inhales. And then we'll rise on back up, and we're going to switch arms. And again, let yourself breathe into the left side here. Feeling the ribs expand on your inhale. Good, and then we'll rise on back up. We're gonna lower our arms on down beside us. And then just bring your hands to meet in front of your heart. Let yourself feel that connection of your hands as you lengthen up. And then we'll release our arms on down. And we're gonna head around towards our hands and knees. And you know if you don't wanna be on your knees, use a blanket. Or use your hands up in the seat of your chair. Or you're more than welcome to come out of your hands and onto your forearms to move through your cat-cows, right? So you want to be mindful. The other thing is fists, of course. Or holding the edge of the seat of the chair. That takes the wrist crease out of your wrists too, if it bothers you to be flat on your hands. So take your time and then just flow through and stop whenever you want. Like if you feel like cat pose feels very good to stay in for a breath or two, or same thing for cow pose. And you can move a little bit slower or you can move a little more quickly, depending on how your back feels, right? As you flow through, whether it feels good to go very slowly or a little faster, just to think of warming up the muscles alongside of your spine and enjoy finding that movement through the back. And if you picture your spine and how it's built, and what these flowing through the back motions do, it's incredible that we have the movement we do through our spines. And then finish off the one you're on, come back to a more neutral spine here. And let's step into our first lunge. Left foot coming forward, right foot stepping back. Whatever height you want to be with your hands. So whether you're up on the chair or down on the blocks, does not matter. Let your shoulders come down away from your ears. Let yourself feel your feet in the floor. Engage your belly a little bit. And take your time. Really just appreciate the whole body here in the pose. Opening up through the back of that right leg back there. And we're going to switch legs. So what you do, take your time. You know, the length of your stance is totally up to you. You do want to have a little space, the wide way between your feet, so you're not like on a tightrope, but you have space between your feet, which gets more ease into your hips. And engage the belly a little bit here. Feel that length down the back of the body. Let yourself imagine your head. You know, sometimes it's tempting to lift your chin up, so you kind of look forward, and sometimes it's tempting to drop your head down. But see if you can keep your head more in line with your spine. And we're going to switch legs again. Sometimes the second time you feel a little bit more easy in the pose. You can press your feet away from each other, feel a little more into your hips, and some of you might want to bring your left hand or forearm up to your thigh so that you don't have quite as much into your hands anymore. You're more into your legs and your hips. You don't have to do that at all. And then we're going to bring the hand down if it was up, and we're going to switch legs. So again, that same foot that's forward, as you press your feet away from each other, if it feels good to just let the hand slip on up to your thigh there if you can, or your forearm if you're lower, right? Good. And then we'll bring our hands down. If they were up, step forward and come into our standing forward bend. So feet hip distance apart and parallel. Go ahead and bend your knees if you need. Feel your sitting bones pretty much staying over your heels though, which keeps you from shifting your weight back behind, right? Back behind your heels. But instead you're over your feet, your torso is forward, and whether you're using support under your hands or your forearms, you know that it's opening up the backs of your legs. You don't want to force anything. Having knees bent is great. You just want to allow the legs just to find a little more openness. And if you're able to let your head hang, do. Feeling that weight of your head, which is quite a bit, actually. Imagine it's kind of tractioning your spine out a little bit, creating more space in your spine. One more breath here. And then we'll we'll bring our hands up to our hips and we're gonna press them to our feet and come on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, take your time, do what you need to do. If you need to look at your feet, if you need to let yourself kind of walk in place a little bit so that you feel very equal and balanced between your feet. Bringing your gaze on forward and out, as though you're looking out towards the horizon if you were outside and could look right out in a flat, open field. And then just really be at ease with simply standing, right? And if you're aligned in your body, it's a lot easier. If you get your pelvis aligned, your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels, your hips over your ankles, and your shoulders over your hips. See if you can imagine when you inhale that your breath is coming up the front of your body, over the top of your head, and when you exhale, that it's coming down the back of your body. So your breath evens out a little bit, and also you feel more balanced front to back. As we now unfold our arms right down beside us, we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend your knees, coming forward into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice long flat back. Hands can be wherever you like, on your legs, on your chair, on your blocks. But think about that flat back. And we'll step our right foot back from here and come into lunge. Draw your shoulders down, press your feet gently away from each other, feel that engagement up into your hips. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So you know your down dog can be done with your hands whatever height you like, in the seat of the chair, down to blocks any height, or down to the floor. But just be mindful, walk a little bit. So if you're in the chair with your hands, your heels are on the floor when you're in your dog, right? If your hands are on the blocks, you can be either heels up or off the floor. And same thing if your hands are on the floor, right? You're more like an upside down V then. Your heels might be hovering. We're gonna bring ourselves on out towards a plank. So take your time, you don't have to do a full plank pose unless you choose to. You can put your knees down, you can come down onto your forearms. You can do push-ups if you like. If you like to bend your elbows in, you don't have to go all the way down and do a full push-up to feel a lot going on in the arms and the shoulders. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward. Whatever you need to do to come into that lunge, bringing your right foot forward. And drawing your shoulders away from your ears again. Enjoy. Make sure that alignment of that front knee is good, so you're not going out beyond your toes with your knee. And then we'll step forward again, coming on back into our standing forward bend. And I know some of you really like the feeling of just releasing, folding over your legs and holding your elbows. That's not for everybody's back, right? So be mindful. You can let your hands stay supported. You can put them on the floor. You can put your hands on blocks, or you can let your elbows, forearms rest on your chair or above your knees. Remember, that's a really good way to keep your spine lengthened, is to rest your elbows above your knees. So just breathe. Let yourself really now watch those breaths all the way in and all the way out. Let that be really kind of the most important focus right now, is just feeling and watching your breath going in and out. Our hips as we rise on it to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up, and on our exhale let our hands come down to be in front of our hearts. And now from here we're going to sit back into a little chair pose. Doesn't have to be very low, right? As soon as you shift your hips back and you come a little forward, you're going to feel your quads. You know, it's not like you have to go down, 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 down unless you choose to, right? So feeling, if you shift a little more weight to your heels, maybe that can make you want to engage a little more in your thighs. And then press into your feet, rise on up, and inhale your hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you fold forward into your standing forward bend. And let your next inhale help you find that nice long back. And again, we're going to come into left foot back for lunge this time. So making your way into your lunge, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So again, as you make your way back into that dog, take your time, walk if you need to. Sometimes it feels good to turn your head and look side to side if that helps you release your neck. Good. And then come on back to your full dog. Let your next inhale again bring you out towards that plank. Again, your plank can be any kind you want. Forearm plank, half plank. Take your time, reach your sitting bones down towards your heels. You're more than welcome to bend your elbows if you like to. That's totally up to you. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Good. And from here, we'll bring our left foot forward to find that lunge again. However you need to get it there. Let your shoulders feel like they want to release down away from your ears as you press your feet away from each other. And then we'll step forward again, back into our standing forward bend. And again, be mindful of how your back feels. Come to where you're able to watch your breath without feeling stressed anywhere. You don't want to feel like you're feeling any kind of pulling sensation up at your sitting bones, and you don't want to feel any discomfort in your low back. So just let the pose do the work for you, really. All you're doing is watching your breath, coming in and going out. Good. One more nice full breath. And we will bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms and bring our hands behind us here now. Interlace your fingers, clasp your hands. Actually, for a second, bend your elbows more and bring your palms together. Really squeeze your hands together there. If that hurts your shoulder, don't do it, okay? But you'll feel it in your biceps too, so just be mindful. One more breath there. Really feel your fingers kind of squeezing in too towards each other. And then go ahead and release. Keep your hands clasped, but let the palms come apart. We're going to take a nice inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're going to fold forward from the hips. Maybe stay about parallel to the ground, to the floor. So you have like a tabletop back. You're reaching back through your tailbone and forward and out through the top of your head, and your back is pretty flat. You're bending your knees, so you're really feeling it too in your thighs and your legs. You can stay right here. If you feel like you want to fold more forward, go for it. And some of you may even feel okay to bring your hands away from your back. That's not in a lot of people's shoulders to do that, so don't force it. Bring them where you can. One more breath. And now release your hands, let your hands come on down, and let your inhale bring you into that flat back. I like to put my hands on my thighs to do that, or even you can use anything you want. And we're going to make our way into down dog from here. So place your hands the height you like to use and walk yourself back into your dog. Remember, the blocks are different heights. If you're on the highest height of those blocks, be really mindful and careful. Walk a little bit if you can. Let yourself feel your belly engaging as you release one heel at a time towards the ground when you bend the other knee. And then come on back to your full dog, and on your next inhale, come on out towards that plank. Now you can add a back bend or not here. You can do little push-ups if you want. You can come to the floor and do a Sphinx or a Cobra, or you can come through for an up dog if you choose to. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. Again, be mindful. If you need to wiggle around a little bit, do. Wag your tail if you want to. And then we'll do that same thing. Come on out to plank. Again, it is optional to stay in your plank or to do little push-ups or to move into a back bend if you choose. And then from there, we'll make our way on back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, let's all bring our left foot forward and come into lunge. our standing forward bend. And just breathe. Again, go right to your breath. Of course, use support if you need, but let the breath be kind of the most important thing right now. Just watching it, accepting your breaths, receiving your breaths, really. So you're receiving both your inhales and your exhales. Nice, and then we're going to bring our hands on up to our hips. We're going to press into our feet as we rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, as you bring your hands down, really feel the hands connected there as they come right to be in front of your chest. And let yourself come into mountain pose. Feel possibly a little lighter in your head after our sun salutation. Feeling warmed up through the body, a little more energy flowing, but at the same time, it's like mountain pose feels totally natural. You know, getting yourself aligned and then feeling like you could just stay there for a really long time. And then we'll release our arms on down the side, shake out a little bit, move around whatever you need to. And we're going to do some warriors. I'm going to turn my chair around, so if you have one, you might want to do that. And also, definitely have your blocks handy right in front of your mat. And we're going to step our right foot back and do a warrior one. So, throwing our shoulders around square, right to the front of the edge of our mat, and then bend that left knee and see if you can look at your left knee, that front knee, okay? And then bend it and straighten it a few times, just to really get it lined up. So the knee doesn't kind of go wonky on you, right? So sometimes when you bend the knee, it wants to go inside a little more. Sometimes when you straighten it, it wants to do weird things, but you know, just let yourself feel kind of good as you bend and straighten the knee a little bit. When you get back the next time to being bent, decide if you need a little bit longer stance. You can always inch your toes farther forward if you're like, I feel better here, right? And then just let your hands come together in front of your chest. Bring your gaze on forward. You're a basic warrior one, which is really a big core pose. Your belly, your low back, your hips, and of course a great hip opener here in the front of your right hip, your hip flexor. So let's inhale the hands up a little higher than our head. Clasp them behind your head for a second. Press your head into your hands a little bit. Maybe your chin will lift up a bit. You don't have to, but just feel that sense of how the core body engages more when you press your head into your hands. It's like you're holding your head up, really. Makes your head feel lighter. And then from there, we'll extend the arms up into a wide V if you need, or you can bring the hands directly over your shoulders, but try not to lift your shoulders up. Turn your pinkies in towards each other. Feel the shoulders releasing down away from your ears. And feel the feet on the floor. Good. One more breath here in your warrior one. And then bring your gaze forward. Let your hands come right back down through the midline to be in front of your heart. And let yourself lean just a little bit with the upper body forward. Keeping a long line. You're not dropping at the hips, right? You're keeping yourself in this long line. The back foot is still fully on the floor. Feel the feet pressing away from each other. Feel how your belly engages. Good. And then we're going to lower our hands down and find a lunge. So the right heel will release directly behind our foot. You can go to any height you want for your lunge. You can be on the back of the chair, the seat, or the blocks. And let's put our left hand up on our left hip. Roll that shoulder up. See if you can put your palm flat down onto your low back there. Coming into that twist. So trying to stay fairly level right there where your hand is. And if you feel good to stretch your arm up, you can. You can reach your arm straight up from your shoulder if you want to. Some of you may even want to turn and look up towards your hand a little bit. That's really up to you and your shoulder and your neck and a lot of other things. So come on back down. Bring yourself on back into your lunge. And we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us. And then press our feet into the floor as we rise up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. Feel the space around you now. And as you bring your hands down, come into your mountain pose. Feel lighter if you can, up in your head. Let your head feel a lot more floating now. feet in the floor. If you sway around a little bit, it's fine. And then we'll unfold our arms right on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. We're just gonna go right away to the other side. So we'll step our left foot back. Again, you can put your hands on your chair if you have it there, because that really keeps you honest. And whether you decide to do a shorter stance or a longer stance, that's up to you. But you can be a little wider with your feet if that feels better in your hips. And then again, you're gonna bend and straighten that front knee. So sometimes when I do that, like a few times, I feel like I just want my front foot to be a little bit different place. So if it needs to shorten a stance or go longer in my stance or come narrower or wider, then I do. And then once you get to where, okay, I'm gonna stay right there on my knee bent, it feels pretty good, I feel balanced, I can bring my hands to my heart, and I can enjoy feeling like I'm looking out beyond the wall, out towards the horizon. Feel the feet equal in the floor. And even though you're very asymmetrical, you still feel balanced between your feet. And then as we bring our hands up a little above the head and clasp the hands behind the head and push the head into the hands, you know, maybe you do want to look up a little, not necessarily. There is a lift in the belly for sure, just by pressing your head into your hands. And you can also feel a little more openness in the front of your left hip. And when you extend your arms up, sometimes that just increases here, that lift through the front of the body. But not the shoulders, remember. The lift comes through the front of the body, and then you feel that sense of your left sitting bone reaching down towards your left heel. One more breath here. And then as you bring your gaze forward, let your hands come back down to be right in front of your chest. And again, we're making that long diagonal line. So it's not very big, especially if you're in a short stance. Try to get yourself into this long line. Right. You can really feel in that front leg, your front thigh is really working, but keep that back foot fully grounded. And then release your hands on down to find a lunge. And again, it doesn't matter what height you put your hands as you let that left heel release directly behind your foot. And when you do bring your right hand to your hip and then to your low back, that shoulder rolls up and you're trying to stay fairly level right there where your hand is. And you are absolutely more than welcome to stretch the arm up if you feel good to do that in your shoulder. And again, if it feels kind of good to look up towards your hand, you can. That's a little bit of a back bend though, just be mindful and don't do anything that your neck tells you not to do. And then release, come on back down with the hand to lunge. We're gonna step forward, get our feet right under us, and let yourself come into standing forward bend for a couple breaths, wherever you wanna be. Elbows above knees is fine, whatever feels good. Feel the weight of your head if you can. Nice. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, and we're gonna rise straight on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down. We're gonna come back to that little chair pose. So again, press down into your feet. Really feel like you're pushing the floor away from you with your feet. Feel how that activates all in your thighs, but really all around your knees too. And that means you don't have to be low to really be increasing strength in your legs. You don't have to go down like you're, about to sit down on the floor at all, or a really low chair. And then come on back up. You can feel your legs working. And then we'll release our arms on down beside us. And you can walk around a little bit if you want to. I'm going to leave my chair this way. We're going to step back with our right foot this time and come into Warrior Two. So the right foot becomes about parallel to the back edge of your mat. You can send your heel back further if that feels okay for you. And then bend that left knee. Take a look. Again, just like in Warrior One, think of the knee coming out over the center of your foot. Nice. And then let's rise our arms up like we're doing a wide V with our arms. Turn your palms towards each other. Feel how you feel equally long through the sides of your body. And then turn your palms up to face away from each other and slowly lower them down. And as they lower down, think about as you turn your head to start to look out over the top of your left hand. Think about reaching back through the right fingertips just as much. And then imagine you're making your mat longer with your feet. Feel your feet pressing gently away from each other. Nice. We're gonna turn the left palm up. We're gonna inhale, reach up towards the sky into a reverse warrior. So a nice full breath into the left side. And on the exhale, we're gonna come into side angle. So you can put your hand or your forearm on your thigh or on your chair, right? And you can decide if you wanna add the right arm up into line with the body. It is so not necessary to do that. You can keep your hand down on your hip, still finding that length of your spine here. Picture your right sitting bone reaching down towards your right heel. We're gonna come right back to warrior two, so pressing the feet away from each other. Nice. And now we're gonna straighten both our legs out. We're gonna bring the left hand down for triangle. So the right hand can stay on your hip till you get just the place you wanna be. As you extend your torso out over that leg, you can use your leg to put your hand on, you can use your chair or a block. When you roll the right shoulder up, you can add the right arm up if you want to, or you can keep the right hand on the hip. So we're extending out through a long spine. Our thighs are lifting up towards the hips. You're very engaged in your legs and very extended through your spine. We're gonna bend the left knee and come back to warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. And then we'll bring our hands down and we're gonna turn our feet more parallel for a wide-legged forward bend towards the long end of our mat. So take your time and grab what you need as you come forward. If you like having your blocks, go ahead and bring your blocks underneath your hands and adjust your stance. Bend a knee at a time if that helps you to kind of get yourself a little more easily into how wide you want your stance to be. And then come back and let both your knees bend just a little bit and just look at one foot at a time, right? And make sure that you're not rolling like to the outsides or to the insides more of your feet. And even if your feet are fairly flat, imagine that your arches are lifting up, okay? And the four corners of your feet, like the base of your big toe mound, the base of your little toe mounds are on the floor. And then you can decide, do you want to stay with a little bit of support so your torso stays out and forward a little bit with a longer back? Then maybe you want to stack your blocks up or put your elbows above your knees. Or maybe you want to go ahead and release and let the top of the head go down towards the ground so that you're hanging. That is, for some people, a good thing and others not. So be mindful and take your time. And now, as you watch your breath, let the breath settle into a pretty good sense of evenness between your breaths, so that your inhales and exhales feel pretty close to the same length. You can count, if it feels good to count, till you get to the end of your inhale and try to reach that same count when you exhale, you can. Go through your face and your jaw. Imagine releasing across your forehead too, like your forehead is smoothing out. Breath. And rise up. You do what you need to do, whether that's adjusting your feet before you come up or coming up and then if you're busy taking your time, hold on if you need to. Move through your feet a little bit. If you need to walk around, walking around helps. And then we'll step back with our left foot and come into warrior two on the other side. So again, getting your heels lined up, and again, checking out that alignment of that front knee, so you're trying to get it aligned more with the center of the foot. You don't want it to go out beyond your toes, remember. And then once you feel grounded through your feet, if you can rise your arms up into that wide V and turn your pinkies a little more towards each other, feel how your shoulders naturally want to release down. And you can have the arms wider if that feels better. Just want to find that sense of softening the tops of the shoulders down. Nice. And then turn the palms away from each other, and as they slowly lower down, again, you're reaching out. As they come down, you're reaching as far away as you can with your fingertips. Bringing your gaze out over the top of that right hand. Feel the feet pressing away from each other on the mat. Really enjoy shoulders softening down. We're going to turn the right palm up. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. Your left hand can give you a little support back there. Nice full breath into the right side. And on your next exhale, coming into that side angle. So again, you can use your hand on your chair, you can use your forearm, you can go down to your thigh, and you can add that top arm up if you want to. Bringing it into line with the left side of the body, or keep the hand down. And of course, if your shoulder wants to do something, but it can't go into line with the side of the body, you can reach it straight up like you're doing triangle if you want to. So one more breath there. And then we're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing the feet away from each other. And now straighten the right leg out. So as you come into triangle, feel like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. You're pressing your feet away from each other, lifting up with your thighs, bringing your right hand down to whatever surface you like. And your left arm can just be right up there above your shoulder, or you can keep your hand down on your hip. You're extending your torso out over that front leg. Both legs are straight. Thighs are lifting upward. One more breath here. And then we'll bend the right knee. We're going to come on back again into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other. Good. We're going to bring our hands down, turn our feet more parallel again, adjust your stance a little bit. And as you come forward, grab your blocks if you want them, of course. And take your time. Again, if you want to bend a knee at a time to adjust to get into the width of stance that feels good to you. Good. And then once you get settled in, again, feel your feet pretty equal on the floor there, and let's walk over towards the left. So you can use your blocks and walk a little, or you can walk your hands on the floor towards the left. Once you get there, if you can put your left hand up on your hip, do. Some of you might even want to turn and look up at the ceiling a little bit. If you like that little twist, you can add it. And then come on back down with the hand. We're going to walk back through center. And again, you can be on your blocks, you can be on the floor. Once you get as far as you want to go to the right, you can bring your right hand to the hip. And again, if you want to add that little twist, you can. Not necessary. And then we'll bring our hand back down. And we're going to walk back into center again. And take your time. Bend both your knees. See if you can rest your elbows above your knees like you're in a squat. Almost like, you know, you can reach down and hike a football, right? So you're really getting into your legs, your hips. Really enjoy lengthening out through your spine. And then you decide, when you get ready to come to stay in this pose, do you feel like support under your forearms or under your head even would feel good, right? I mean, you can play around with blocks any height and decide if support feels really good, or you may decide you want to just hold your own ankles and hang with your forehead, your head down towards the ground, or hands in the middle between your feet. Some of you might even want to put your hands up on your back. And you know how we brought the arms off the back in our standing forward bend earlier? You can do that if that feels really good to you in your shoulders. So just be easy, and if you get somewhere and it doesn't feel right, go ahead and change your arms and change how you are so that you can not feel like you're fighting the pose. You know, instead, you want to come really easily into where you can be and watch your breath. Following your breath all the way in and all the way out. Good. One more breath. And when you do get ready to rise up, take your time. You come up however feels best for you, whether you need to adjust before or after. And then bring your feet on together. Move around a little bit through your feet and your ankles. Good. And we're going to keep our mats where they are, but we're going to take up one block and go over to a wall where you can just put your hand on a wall for a little bit of balance somewhere, right? So there's room here, right? There's room here. Perfect. And let's all turn with our right hand towards the wall. And bring your block between your right foot and the wall. Right? Now see if you can, as you stand on your right foot, cross your left foot over to where you're crossing to put your ball of your foot on that block. Right? So that right there might be enough for some of us, just standing right here. You can feel that in the outside of your right leg. Right? If you feel like you want to go a little down deeper into eagle pose here, you can start to sit back and let your torso come forward. It's like doing the chair pose, only now you're on one leg, right? And your hips shift back, your torso comes a little forward, and you can squeeze your thighs towards each other. Now you can let go of the wall and bring your hands into prayer hands, or you can bring your right arm on top of your left and give yourself a hug if you want, or do your eagle arm wrap. Totally optional, all of that. Let yourself be where you can. And then we're going to rise on back up. And we're going to turn right on around to do the other side. So, once you get standing on that left foot and you cross the right foot over, then you decide, you know, does it feel okay? Do you feel better just to stand up straight here? You know, you're still, if you let go of the wall, feel what happens. You're using the core of your body, you know. You also may decide, well, I do like to sit back. So if you do, you can sit back like you're going in the chair, coming into eagle pose. So you can bring hands to your heart if you want. You can use the wall if you want. You can bring your left arm over your right and either come into your eagle wrap or come into a hug. Totally up to you. Good. And then we're going to rise to come on back up. We're going to turn and face the wall. Walk your hands down. Now if you need to come to fist do, come into down dog here. So you're coming into like the shape of a capital letter, printed letter L. So you've got pretty much. Now if you need to be up higher with your body, that's fine. Because we're going to do a little warrior 3, okay? But just see if you can get, looking at your hands, make sure you don't have one hand higher than the other, even whether it's fist or spread or your hands flat. And we're going to lift our right leg up, so you might have to adjust your left leg to a good place to bring your right leg up into warrior 3, pointing the toes down towards the ground. Let yourself feel even through your hands, engage your belly a little bit, zip up your belly. We're going to put that foot down, and we're going to put the left leg up in the air. It doesn't have to be as high as parallel to the floor, but it can be. Toes are pointing down. Think about the pinky toe pointing down and the hips staying quite level. Beautiful. And then let yourself release and come on down. Walk back towards the wall. Turn your back towards the wall and come down into any kind of squat you want. You might want to go just a little bit. You can separate your feet wider if that feels better. You can put your elbows above your knees, but let the wall support you. Or you can squat down. You know, another way to squat down, if you can't really get down, it doesn't feel safe, is to use blocks to sit on, right? So it'd be like you're sitting on a chair or a low stool, right? Which can sometimes feel really good. Or you can use the wall and squat all the way down if you want to, right? I mean, you can, when the wall is there, sometimes it just feels a little bit better to be able to come down, to lean back into the wall. It takes it a little more out of your knees when you're like this, all right? So probably enough of that. We're going to come up enough so we can walk again. So we're going to come back to our mats, and you might want to just scoot your chair to the side. We're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So just put yourself down however you choose and bring your forehead down on your hands. Rest your forehead. Go ahead and bend your knees and kind of let your legs do what they want back there. You know, you can circle your feet around. You can let the lower legs do the windshield wiper blades. Just let it feel good. I even like to circle my lower legs sometimes. Just let them make circles. But just be real mindful, letting go. And then come on back, and we're going to come on into a little Sphinx pose, letting our So come on up to release the back here, coming into palms just gently facing down towards the ground. And bring your gaze right between your hands, maybe a little bit forward of that. Let it feel really good. Nice. And then bring your hands together. We're going to come on into a half forearm plank, pressing down into our forearms on the flesh above our knees here. And we're going to pull ourselves towards the front of the mat. So you get even higher onto that above the knees. You're not on top of your kneecaps at all. You're above them. And you're really using your belly here and your low back. So you're coming into that core strength. Good. One more breath there. And then let yourself release down. Bring your arms down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on the next inhale, float up into a locust pose. Let it stay really low. So your head is barely off the floor. Your legs are up as much as you can. Your hands are just a little off the floor. And then come back down for a breath. Let everything rest. Breathe into your low back. And then the next time you inhale, come up into that locust again, and maybe see if you can go a little higher. If you can, don't force it. If you can go a little higher, do. And then exhale, come down just a little bit, but not all the way. So you're low again. And then release your head on down. We're going to come back to forearms on the floor. Come back to that half forearm plank, or if you would choose to, you can put your toes down and do a full forearm plank. Or the other choice is, if you would choose to, you can come up into a dolphin pose where you bring your knees on up. You go from there up into your dolphin. Now that is totally optional, and you know that. Not everybody's shoulders want anything to do with this pose. So it's usually a gradual moving into being able to do that. So take your time. Half forearm plank, full forearm plank, little dolphin pose if you choose. And then we're going to release and let everything come down wherever we were so that we can shift back towards the pose of a child. So, you know, if your hips need to stay up in the air, let your hips stay up in the air. Don't overbend in your knees where you feel uncomfortable. Use any kind of support that you need. You can put your head on stacked hands. You can get blocks to help you. Just let yourself be mindful of feeling that low back release. Letting go through your hips and your low back. Nice full breath. See if you can feel the back literally expanding as you breathe in. Good. And one more full deep breath. Such a quieting pose. When you're ready to come up, take your time. And we're going to come around to sitting. So let's come on around and stretch your legs out in front of you. And just gradually kind of imagine that you're shifting a little bit and sending your inner thighs like they go down towards the ground, which gets you where your knees and your toes are facing up towards the ceiling. And then bring your hands behind you. And you may want to go flat onto your hands. You might want to stay on fingertips. But think about that string attached to your sternum that somebody's going to draw forward and up on a diagonal line. And you can let your gaze stay forward. That's fine. You might want to look up just a little bit. It might feel even better in your neck. But just be mindful of your neck. Don't do anything that doesn't feel good. And let yourself see if you can feel that sense of starting in your belly, rising up through the ribs to the chest with your breath. So that it really opens, the chest really opens at the end of your inhale. Good. And then we're going to release, we're going to come back up, and we're going to bring our left leg in. Now, you may decide to do this pose. We're going to practice a little heron pose, all right? The bird pose. But if you want to hold behind your thigh or even wrap your arm around behind your thigh and lift your foot up off the floor and lean back just a little bit, And that was a lot of work. You're using your core right there. You don't have to do any more. You can put your foot up a little higher if you want. And some of you might even want to reach with your hands and get a hold of your foot, like holding the pinky toe side and the big toe side of the foot. Now try not to slump. It's very tempting, right? But you're thinking of your chest still coming forward. So you can stay there and be perfectly happy. And some of you might go, oh, I just want my leg to go up higher. I just want to lift my toes up because it feels really good to get the legs straighter with support here. But your back, I mean, you're really working the heck out of your back and your leg. No matter whether you're bringing the legs straight or not. Good. Heron pose. Kind of feel like a heron, don't you? One more breath. And then we'll bring the foot back down. And all we're going to do is switch our legs out. So again, take your time. Let yourself hold behind your thigh. You can kind of pull yourself forward a little bit to release. And then when you're ready, and you lean back a little bit and you bring that foot up, right? Then you decide, well, maybe I want to think about getting my foot, maybe I don't. Maybe I want to stay right here, right? If you do get the foot, and it feels really good, remember you're trying to still keep yourself really long. You can think about coming into a longer leg if you can, and think of also just bringing your gaze up, which brings this huge lift to the front of the body. And if you need to, you know, if you want to hold a little bit lower but still want to get your legs straight and get yourself, you know, into both the back of the leg and that lift here in the spine, beautiful. And then we're going to bring that foot on down, and we're going to bring our soles of our feet towards each other. You can bring your feet way out if you want to. If it feels better to come forward like that, you can have that real big diamond space there in your legs. Or you can bring your feet in closer if your legs feel good with that. Don't do anything to compromise your knees or your hips. So blocks can be amazing in this pose too. Sometimes when you put blocks under them, even if you're not having issues with anything, but you put blocks under them, it totally changes how you feel when you come a little bit forward in this pose. Changes where you feel it actually, but just play. Ease your way into finding what feels like the deepest release for you. Coming forward from your low back, nice. Letting the hips release. And because we're all built differently, our knees will be in different places, you know. Sometimes people's knees are way, way up high. Sometimes they're almost down to the ground. And that has nothing to do with anything except how you're built in your hips. So as long as it feels good to you. And we're going to easily bring ourselves on back up. You might want to let your hands help your legs come on up and stretch your legs out and shake them out a little bit. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor from here. So take your time, and once you get down, I bet the knees are going to want to come into the chest, so let your knees come on in and come side to side a little bit. You can do circles with the knees if that feels good. You can keep the knees kind of close together and circle them in one direction and then the other. You can also do those circles where you separate your knees. So you can bring them in and let them circle out and around to meet back again at center. So they can circle in opposite directions, which brings a totally different feeling into the low back and how you're experiencing really your low back. And then finish off. Let yourself keep your right knee in towards your chest and extend your left leg down more on the floor. Flex through both your feet a little bit. Feel your right leg coming into your hands, whether you're holding your shin or behind your thigh, doesn't matter. And feel length right now in the back of your neck and throat. So if you're finding your chin lifting up, you hear how my voice changes, right? Instead, see if you can just feel the back of the head gently in the ground so you have length in the back of your throat. We're going to switch our legs. So bringing our left leg in, extending the right leg long. Pressing gently the leg into your hands. And again, finding that length in the back of your neck and throat. And then let's bring both feet onto the floor. Let your knees come from side to side a little bit with the feet on the floor. Bring your arms just out beside you for a second as you come into those easy little twists so that the knees just come one way and then the other. And then we'll do a little bridge pose. So you decide, maybe you're like, wow, I would love to grab a block and come right into supported bridge, or perhaps you'd rather bring your arms down alongside you and press up into the bridge pose and either stay in bridge for a little bit, or maybe you feel better to move up and down out of bridge. You can inhale your way up and exhale your way down, right? Or you can stay up in the bridge, feeling the feet in the floor, feeling that sense of opening the front of the body. You're gonna feel, when you're doing bridge pose, you're gonna feel it in your thighs, but you don't wanna feel it in your back. You don't wanna feel any discomfort in your back, right? So take your time, and if you feel better to stay on the block, do. If you like to play when you're lying on the block, you can do that too. You can lift the leg or legs up. You can come into, doing leg lifts. You can stretch out your hip flexors a little more by lengthening one leg down on the floor. Take your time. Let your body kind of go to what it needs to do after what we've done so far. So. You don't have to wait for me. I know some of you, bridge is not your favorite pose to be in. And you don't have to ever stay. You can always come down, bring your knees in towards your chest. And then follow your body. Maybe a little twist of just feet on the floor again sounds good, side to side. Maybe you'd like to come into another kind of a twist where you bring one knee in and across to the other side, or there could be any number of things that sound good to you right now. If you need to do another hip opener, by all means do that. And I am going to come around to bring props for anyone who thinks either a bolster or a blanket sound good.
Bolster.
Bolster. So remember, if you start to stretch out and you know you're not comfortable after a breath or two or three or four, right? Then really get supported, or else move things around till you feel better. You might just want to put your hands in a different place, your arms. You might want your legs to be in a different place, farther apart or closer together. But just let yourself feel this release in your shoulders and your hips, right? And then let that release come on down into your arms and your legs. And if your head needs to just turn a little bit from side to side to find release in the neck and your face and your jaw. As you start to now accept your breaths, really now receiving your breaths in and out without trying to control them. Just watching and following the breath. Wanders off, coming back again to your breaths over and over and over, finding how the breath calms down and how the body relaxes and how your brain gets a little less busy. So give yourself these few minutes. Trust that your body will get what it needs from all you just did. Yourself completely and fully relax. appreciating those deeper breaths, bringing you back into feeling like you want to move again. Your fingers and toes can lead you into moving your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs when you're ready. You know, you might want to stretch like you're waking up in the morning. You might want to bend, bring your knees in towards your chest. Just be mindful. You know, you're welcome to roll to either your right or your left side. You can stay there in a soft fetal position and give yourself time to adjust. Of course, be easy when you're ready to rise up. You can let your eyes close again once you get up there if they opened on the way up, but let your body start to adjust into being comfortable in your hips and being able to really lengthen upward through the top of your head. And let your hands release to just where it feels good for your shoulders. You know, sometimes that means turning your palms up because it releases your shoulders down, or you just want to maybe change the placement of your hands a little bit so you feel really open across your chest. And come back to watching your breath coming in and going out through your nose. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Monday.
Thank you, Kaye.